people take our product in the morning, they report mental focus and energy during the day, and then better sleep that night. So I'm not really surprised that he's seeing improvements in sleep, but I hadn't heard anybody talk so specifically about HSCRP. HSCRP, high sensitivity C-reactive protein. It's an inflammatory marker. In fact, about 2 years ago, they did a study in beagles with our formula, and it reduced their HSCRP numbers.
If you want to live like you matter, ditch the pills, look great, and feel freaking amazing, you're in the right place. I'm Dr. Wendy Trudeau.
And I'm Dr. Ed Levitan. Welcome to the Feel Freaking Amazing podcast,
where we empower you to live a vibrant and healthy life by optimizing your structural, chemical, emotional, social, and spiritual lives.
Hold on to your hats.
Hello and welcome to the Feel Freaking Amazing podcast. I'm Wendy Trudeau. Ed can't be with us today. We have an amazing guest. It is Chris Burres. He is the founder and chief scientist at MyVitalC, where he manufactured a Nobel Prize-winning molecule responsible for the single longest longevity experimental result in history, which was a full 90% extension of life. And his life's mission is to help people live longer, fuller, healthier, happier, pain-free lives with science. So Chris, welcome. I'm so happy you could be here today.
Wendy, I am so happy to be here, especially today, because today I feel freaking amazing.
Well, I think you fit right in.
Awesome.
Talk to me, how'd you get into this? Like, why this? How'd you get there?
So, there are so many, and I've seen you've interviewed so many amazing people. I could list them off, like just so many amazing people. And a lot of them have this beautiful, sucky and beautiful pain to passion story, right? Where they've solved their own problem or they've solved the problem of loved ones, or, my story is so antithetical to that. So my business partner was working on the University of Houston campus, and he was separating a recently discovered molecule. It was discovered at Rice University. I'll talk about that here in just a second. And well, let's talk about it real quick, right? So we call this molecule, I'm holding up a model of a molecule. If you're listening, just imagine a soccer ball where the lines on the soccer ball represent the bonds between the carbon atoms. So you have this spherical molecule of 60 carbon atoms. It was discovered in 1985, and the scientists who discovered it actually won the Nobel Prize in 1996. When we start putting this particular molecule in supplements, we call it ESS60. And he was working, separating this material from some of the other materials that come out when you produce it. And his professor came in one day and said, "Hey, you guys are young kids. This molecule is selling for $6,000 a gram. You should go make a piece of equipment to manufacture this." And my business partner, Robert, is from an entrepreneurial background. I kind of joke, he did a back of the napkin calculation, which I think had one number, $6,000 a gram. That was it, right? And so he was off and running, and they brought me in to help build the equipment, to help design the equipment. I was kind of supposed to go away. I ended up sticking around. So now we've been 50-50 partners for 34 years now. And so we started manufacturing and selling this molecule to research institutions around the world in 1991. And so I wish it was, I have compassion and I'm so brilliant. I discovered this thing that extended the life of Wistar rats by 90%. None of that is really part of my story.
So what was the moment where you were like, this stuff really makes a difference?
So from the very beginning, kind of the reason they won the Nobel Prize is because this molecule performs as well or better than the current best material in almost every application. So it actually makes better inks, better batteries, better tires, better photocells. And this is often when people get a little nervous. We're like, this is a health podcast. Like, do you feel freaking amazing with ink, battery, tire? No one in your audience woke up, looked at their car and thought, I wonder what components of my car battery I should be taking on a daily basis. And then the story actually gets a little bit worse. So there's 20 versions of a benzene ring on the exterior of this soccer ball shaped molecule, right? Now, benzene is very important in modern society. We don't have modern society without it. It's everywhere. And just as an example, look around wherever you're at and imagine all of the things that are plastic gone, because the foundational molecule is the benzene ring. It's also the foundational molecule for a lot of medicines, including aspirin, for a lot of detergents. But one fun characteristic about benzene is when it's on its own, it's known to be toxic and it's known to be carcinogenic. So the fact that there's 20 of these shapes on the exterior of this ESS60 molecule made them think it would be toxic. They put it in a toxicity study. Instead of being toxic, the test subjects that they gave it to, in this case, it was Wistar rats, they lived 90% longer than the control group. So we kind of have two, I like to say, two inflection numbers in the story. One is $6,000 a gram. That's amazing. And the other is a 90% extension of life in these Wistar rats. And that was published in 2012. Once again, I would like to say that I was very brilliant and I saw this study and I saw opportunity and I launched a supplement company immediately. The opposite is true. My business partner and I were kind of aware of what was going on. We were getting really interesting phone calls, and the first of them started with, hey, there's this study and these rats live 90% longer. How much do you think we should be consuming? And my business partner and I, what we heard was, that stuff that you sell to research institutions around the world to put into inks, batteries, tires, and photocells, how much should I be taking on a daily basis? And it might not surprise you, we thought the number was zero. We're conservative carbon nanomaterial scientists. And we actually added not for human consumption to our labeling in mid-2013. So think about that. From 1991 all the way to mid-2013, we don't have to have not for human consumption on our labeling because it's not on anybody's radar, right? Inks, batteries, tires, and photocells. And then now we've got this kind of crazy, wacky group of people called biohackers. And I can say that affectionately now because I am a biohacker.
Tell the truth. I know that this was in reaction to the Tide Pod Challenge.
That's funny.
It has to correlate. It has to correlate, not for human consumption. It has to correlate.
We saw that. We were terrified. We're not going to fall. This is a trap. There's an existential trap that's being set for us, and we were not going to fall into it. Yeah, and so we add not for human consumption to the labeling. The literature is clear that it's safe, but we still add, we're conservative scientists, and we start getting these very fun phone calls, and these are about 2 to 3 phone calls a week from, again, crazy, wacky biohackers. And they were like, hey, Chris, my knee pain's gone. And I was like, you mean the knee pain of your rat? Because it literally says not for human consumption on the labeling. And they're like, yeah. Hey, if my rat weighs 275 pounds and does HIIT training on Tuesdays and Thursdays, should they increase their serving size? So we kind of know what's going on. And we allowed it because the literature was clear, but we still weren't comfortable. Literally, Robert and I would get together every quarter. Do we want to get into the supplement industry? I think you would share the generous description that the supplement industry is challenged, like as a whole. It's a challenged industry and very different than delivering commercial quantities of carbon nanomaterials to research institutions where they have the equipment to test what we send them, where they actually test what we send them, like all of that stuff. And in this middle, this was kind of between 2013 and 2018, I actually found a research paper that said 50% of the supplements that this research group had purchased off the market did not have in them what they said they had in them. Like, that's how challenged the supplement space is. So we just continued to say we don't want to get into the industry. Finally, at the end of 2017, a guy with a big YouTube following, that's what changes everything these days, right? Started talking about all the benefits he was getting taking it on a daily basis. And our phone went from those crazy, wacky 2 to 3 times a week, phone calls 2 to 3 times a week, to 10 calls a day. So now in that quarterly meeting with Robert, we're like, a couple of things. One, it's an entrepreneurial opportunity that we just had no idea about. Like, we're just not familiar with the supplement space and the biohacking space. And then 2, we looked back at that paper where 50% of the supplements on the market don't have in them what they say they have in them. We knew that was going to happen in the space. We're the oldest and longest manufacturer and distributor of this molecule on the planet. We've got the equipment, we've got the expertise, the know-how, the exacting standards, and we figured we needed to get into the industry. And then we finally asked ourselves 2 questions. And the first is a moral question. Are we comfortable selling it? So I take it, my wife takes it, everybody on our team takes it. By the way, that's not a requirement to work on our, like, we don't, clock in and take your shot of My Vital C. That's not a requirement. They just have access to the research and the testimonials from customers. So yes, we're comfortable selling it. And then finally, the next question was the legal question. The FDA and the FTC crossed the T's, dot the I's, and we actually brought this product to market in 2018.
Okay, let's back up like 1,000 steps.
Thank you for letting me finish that. I can see you're like, I have things to ask.
Well, I'm all about the product, but I want to understand sort of the underlying, the philosophy, the approach. So basically, this product happened almost serendipitously. But let's talk to the listeners about aging and what are the primary things that cause you to age. And we'll get to, okay, ESS 60, how that makes a difference. But first, we have to understand the why. So talk to me about like what happens when you start to age and how do we address it effectively?
So yeah, it's perfect timing because as we became a supplement company, right, my role shifted from being the chief scientist at a carbon nanomaterial manufacturing business to being the chief scientist at a supplement company. And my role now is what's going on here? What is the method of action? How does this sit in the longevity space, right? So my understanding is a lot of the medical community, not all of it, but a lot of the medical community looks at aging as an oxidation and an inflammation process, right? And so how do we address those potentially is what I'm trying to figure out. How do these rats end up living 90% longer? In terms of oxidation, there's an ad hoc study on the web that shows our product to be 172 times more powerful than vitamin C. There's peer-reviewed published research that shows it to be 125 times more powerful than vitamin C. So we're in Texas. I like to put big old check marks next to things. So that's a big old check mark. When it comes to inflammation, we have to be really careful, right? Because the FDA equates conversations about inflammation with the diseases of inflammation, which are also the diseases of aging. So this is arthritis, Alzheimer's, cardiovascular disease, cancer. And so the FDA, if it hears me say we address inflammation, what the FDA hears is we cure cancer, we cure cardiovascular, all of those things. And there's so much research that would need to go in to do studies to understand that that's true and to be able to make that claim.
So you're no claim, Chris.
Yeah, no.
So you're not making a claim. You're just talking about other stuff. Okay, so let's talk about primary drivers of aging: inflammation, oxidative stress. Okay, and then how do we, outside of a product, how do we address them?
Well, so here's where my kind of information in terms of biological impacts gets really narrowed down because of what we think this is doing, right? So we believe, our understanding is that this is working at the mitochondrial level. And hopefully this will kind of address your question because I see what you're pushing for. So our current theory is the BOSS theory, buffering oxidative stress system. And it looks like this. We know from peer-reviewed published research that this ESS60 molecule gets into the mitochondria. We also know from way back in the 90s when it was discovered that it can hold up to 6 negatively charged particles on the exterior of this cage. And what that, see, hopefully we're ticking the boxes. So what that means, your audience knows this, super fresh refresh. Mitochondria, powerhouse of every cell. There's between 50 and 5,000 mitochondria in every cell in your body, except for your blood cells, which have 0, and your brain and neurons, which have 2 million. It is amazing how much energy our nervous system uses. Like any powerhouse, there is a negative byproduct. You think about your car going down the road, there's exhaust. You think about a power plant, you've got smoke. In the case of mitochondria, it's reactive oxygen species. The most damaging of which is a negatively charged reactive oxygen species. I like to picture these, if they're left to their own devices, they're like little bumper cars, and everything they slam into, they're rusting, they're causing oxidative stress, oxidative damage, and ultimately inflammation, right? Internal to the mitochondria, you have the antioxidants, glutathione and melatonin, to manage those reactive oxygen species. But what happens when you stress a mitochondria, right? So first, how do you stress a mitochondria? I kind of joke, you live in modern society, right? You have insults like the sun, radiation, if you take a plane flight, if you smoke, drink, stress, like you have stressed mitochondria. When it's stressed, it starts producing more reactive oxygen species than the resident glutathione and melatonin can manage, and that's where we think this ESS60 molecule comes into play. We believe it holds on to those reactive oxygen species so they can't run around and do any damage until that mitochondria can replenish the glutathione and the melatonin and then manage them properly. So I have a little analogy. And hopefully you'll agree that all biological analogies should start with Mardi Gras. I mean, a lot of biology happens at Mardi Gras. So it's the end of Mardi Gras. You've got these drunk reactive oxygen species on Bourbon Street causing oxidative stress, causing oxidative damage. And you have the police department, the New Orleans Police Department, the glutathione and the melatonin, who come in, handcuff themselves to those reactive oxygen species and get them off of Bourbon Street. But what does the New Orleans Police Department do when they're overwhelmed? They take those reactive oxygen species and they stick them in a paddy wagon. They attach them to the exterior of this ESX60 cage so they can't run around and do the damage. And then when they replenish the glutathione and the melatonin, then it can attach themselves to those reactive oxygen species and get them off of Bourbon Street. And that's the kind of the wrap of the theory why we think that the ESX60 molecule is the boss, buffering oxidative stress system. And to kind of tie a bow on that, we believe we're reducing the negative impact of stressed mitochondria. And if we are reducing the negative impact of stressed mitochondria, then we actually would see head-to-toe testimonials. And that is, in fact, what we have. We absolutely have head-to-toe testimonials.
Can you see this in the data? Can you see that there's elevated mitochondrial function, decreased reactive oxygen species, decreased oxidative stress, and decreased inflammation after people before and after? Do you see the actual data changing?
We are working on those studies as we speak. So I got to share with you. By the way, nobody in this space most supplement companies don't do research, and even more companies don't publish research. We actually published a paper in June, I think it was June of this year and May of last year. So we are a company that continues to invest in research and to actually publish that research. We just recently started an HSCRP study, and I'll share why we started that because it's pretty exciting. So Dr. Young came up to our booth. So we had a booth at the A4M Longevity Fest in Las Vegas. I had a conversation with him at Dave Asprey's biohacking conference previously. He came up and he said this, and then I was like, you got to say that again and let me record it. So I actually have a video of this. He said, Chris, I don't care if you're male, female, pre-surgery, post-surgery, cardiovascular disease, otherwise healthy. Your product takes elevated HSCRP numbers, and we'll talk about what that is in a second. And in his case, it was 9. His protocols weren't moving a particular patient off of 9 and brings them down into normal ranges, which is under 1, in this case, 2.9 in 4 to 8 weeks. So, and he also went on to say that we see improvements in HRV, so heart rate variability, and sleep between 20 and 60%, right? And our most consistent testimonial, I don't think I've shared this yet, is that people take our product in the morning, they report mental focus and energy during the day, and then better sleep that night. So I'm not really surprised that he's seeing improvements in sleep, but I hadn't heard anybody talk so specifically about HSCRP. HSCRP, high sensitivity C-reactive protein. It's an inflammatory marker. In fact, about 2 years ago, they did a study in beagles with our formula, and it reduced their HSCRP numbers, right? So it's having an impact on this specific, so this is where the FDA will allow me to say on this specific HSCRP number, this specific inflammatory marker. So we already have 4 people entered into what I call an ad hoc study, right? We're just trying to reach out to people through practitioners. Do you have some sort of patient who has elevated HSCRP? We're happy to send product, and then we're going to be looking at data afterwards. So the short answer is we're working on that. Well, the short answer is no. The more complete answer is we're actually doing the work in that. And I had a call on Wednesday this week where we're going to be driving clinical trial quality data through our customer base. And so I'm really excited about what we're doing in that space.
So, okay, talk to me, Chris, about everyone I interview. They have the best thing. Like we have the urolithin A person on. We have a lot of people on. And so it's very easy to be sort of, I'll call it like, caned. You know how they used to do it to Chaplin, how they'd pull him off the stage with the cane. It's very easy to get sucked into, oh, this is the next big thing, and this is the next big thing. So I guess one question I would have is do you need to take it indefinitely because you continue having reactive oxygen species and oxidative stress occur? Or is this like, oh, once a month for a year, you're good, and then you don't have to take it for 11 more months? How does it work?
Well, again, like to be totally forthcoming, there is some work that could be done on the dosing. If you look back to that original study, so this is fascinating about this original study. My director of research came to me at one point and said, listen, this paper could have been 5 separate papers and we could get into some other pieces. But one aspect that kind of addresses what you're saying is none of the rats got any dosing until month 10. Right. So they're well into adulthood before they got any dosing. Their last dose was at month 17. And then the ones given our product lived out to month 62. Now, so what's going on here? At the same point, we actually have classic research, right, on how long does this stay in a mammal is about 10 days. And it's supported by testimonials. I'll share one. My business partner says for 50 years, he needed an alarm clock to wake up. When he's on the product, he wakes up before the alarm clock. Right at about 10 days when he's not taking the product, because I haven't gotten him any, he actually starts to need the alarm clock again. And we've got more and more testimonials as people, I actually, last month, we got this kind of cool testimonial where somebody was like, yeah, I was on the product for 3 weeks, didn't really notice anything. So I'm like canceling my subscription. And then after I got off the product, I realized what I was missing. And so I'll never stop taking your product again. I think you bring up a great dilemma. And I sit in this space with my arms up. You look at urolithin A. I actually interviewed Dr. Singh also. He's fantastic, and what urolithin A purports to do, to increase mitogenesis, like it's all at the mitochondrial level, so it's kind of speaking the same type of language. I think you just have to go out and do the N of 1 experiments on yourself. And you just got to see if it is going to work for you. And I don't have any misgivings that this is highly likely to not work for everyone. And I also believe that everyone should try it and see how it fits into their particular regime. Regime? I always get that.
Regimen.
Yeah, thank you. Regimen.
What's the best impact? We've talked about sleep. Does it impact energy?
Yeah, our most consistent testimonial is people take it in the morning, they report mental focus and energy during the day, and then better sleep that night. And it's worth kind of hovering in this spot for a little bit, because if you're aware of anything, please share that you might take in the morning and positively impact sleep. And I'll give you some examples before, why you can ponder that. If you exercise in the morning, that'll have a positive impact on your sleep, right? If you get exposure to the sun and get your circadian rhythm in line with the rising and falling of the sun, that will help your sleep. I had one person tell me ashwagandha, and then I had somebody else tell me, yeah, but interestingly, you take ashwagandha in the morning for focus and energy, and then you can take ashwagandha again at night, and it can positively impact sleep. This is not taking it in the morning and positively impacting sleep. If you improve sleep, right? Like I'm sure it's in your book, right? Like sleep is so absolutely important. And we all know that it's good for our mental, physical, and emotional well-being. And if all our product ever did, like honestly, when I first stepped into the role of chief scientist of this supplement company, I was like, well, if we're just improving sleep, like that can explain everything else. So that is a place that we land. Focus and energy, absolutely really important. And I'll be honest, given the breadth of what our product seems to do, right, as reported by our customers, it makes it hard to market, right? Like because the more things I say it does, like it probably would be better if I came on and I said, we do focus and energy and that's it. And then people would like climb onto it. And we've actually made targeted packaging, right? Which says deep sleep. It says focus and energy, a separate one. Says focus and energy, a separate one says exercise recovery, a separate one says party recovery, because that's just kind of fun. And those are things that our customers have reported to us. They're literally the same product. And it took me a long time. I'll give you kind of behind the scenes from a marketing and the scientist in me was like, if I'm going to put a different label on it, it absolutely has to be different. And then one day I just woke up and I won't get into the experience, but I was like, you know what I'm concerned about is a customer might go on our website and buy, 3 of one, 4 of another, and then get disappointed because it's the same thing. And our customer service team has 1,000 5-star reviews. Like they're really good. So if anybody orders the different products, the different targeted products, we will be reaching out to them and letting them know, hey, this is all the same. We don't think you should take deep sleep in the morning, take focus and energy in the day, take exercise recovery right before you exercise, and then take deep sleep at night. No, this is one product and you need to take one serving per day typically.
Got it. So I always say to people, the best supplements in the world are useless if you abuse yourself. Is this the same thing that you really, it's not just that you take a supplement, but you need to work on the foundations, or does this supplement help you reverse a foundational mismatch or a problem in the way you're living your life?
So, 100%, like if you're a dumpster fire of behaviors, I love that phrase, and you start taking urolithin A and our product and anything else out there that actually does deliver,
Topical glutathione,
Yep.
all of it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The chances that is like you'll probably feel better. Like that's the reality. You'll probably feel better and you'll probably be in a better place. But you're in a better place from the bottom of the ditch, right? From the dumpster fire. I don't know. Now you're on top of the dumpster fire. You're not actually in the middle of the dumpster fire. And I'll give you kind of another example in terms of another fairly consistent testimonial is about skin, hair, and nail improvement, which is really interesting and kind of my analysis, and let me know what you think. Skin, hair, and nails really, well, skin to some degree, but hair and nails very, very legitimately are about attractiveness. And if you're dealing with something physical, if you're dealing with, we'll go to kind of an extreme, some sort of autoimmune disease, your body is like, yeah, we don't really need to be that attractive. We just need to live, right? Like we need to live through this day. And so skin, to some degree skin, but certainly hair and nails suffer. And so I think that's why we got those testimonials. In fact, you heard the story properly. I didn't really want to be in the supplement industry. When one of my partners came to me and said, we need to do a skin cream, I was like, oh, yay, that sounds amazing. This is not what I've dreamed of. And so we put a skin cream on the market, a skin serum. The testimonials have been fantastic. But one of the reasons I was comfortable doing that is already we were getting good skin and nail and hair testimonials from our customers just from taking the product orally. So I think I do believe that we're addressing things. I do believe that there's a reason we have a party recovery. That's not people taking exact proper care of their health. Like you could make the mindset that a glass of wine or two or a few more is good to like let loose or whatever. But that's probably not a great idea. So I think it can help in those situations.
Well, when you were just talking about the alcohol thing, the couple of glasses of wine, all I could think about was if you think in this parallel universe where if somebody came up to you and said, Chris, I have a huge toxicant for you. It's actually going to really challenge your liver and it'll probably make you dehydrated and you probably won't feel good tomorrow. Oh, and it's going to mess up your sleep too. And if you do a lot of it, it's probably going to make you gain weight and you could go into liver failure over time. And yeah, it's just generally bad for you. But would you like some? You would probably look at me like I had grown two heads.
Yeah.
But that's alcohol.
Yeah. It's a poison. There's a reason that the phrase "What's your poison?" exists, right? Like the bartender, "What's your poison?" Because it is poison. That just reminded. I mentioned there was one aspect of the original study. So they took a separate cohort of rats. Again, one group was given water, so that's the control group. One group was given olive oil, pseudo control group, and then one was given olive oil with the ESS60 molecule. And they injected them with carbon tetrachloride. Now, carbon tetrachloride is an oxidative agent that tends to attack the liver. So they waited a period of time. I can't remember if it was 24 or 48 hours, but something in that range. They euthanized them and then they dissected and looked at the livers. The ones that were given water, the control group, no improvement, right? The livers were heavily oxidized. The ones given olive oil actually showed some improvements. And then the ones given olive oil with the ESS60 molecule had they were on the road to recovery. So being an antioxidant, which we kind of have the peer-reviewed published research to support in the liver is actually on the table. And I think that's probably what's going on when we think about party recovery. By the way, so I'll have a fun kind of crazy question. The FDA will not allow us to say hangover recovery. And if you're like me, my first thought is hangover recovery. Like, I did this to myself. How is this possibly the FDA's business? Do you have a guess why it's the FDA's business?
I don't know. You're making a claim, or because the alcohol providers got involved and said, I don't know. I have no idea, actually.
No, I'm going to say two words, and then you're going to go, oh, perfect sense. And we've actually already said one of them, alcohol poisoning. Right. So it's what you have is a drug you have alcohol poisoning. And as soon as you get to poisoning, that's an FDA issue, which is, once you break it down to that piece, of course it's an FDA issue. I don't know if you had some sort of cure for rat poisoning, then like you would be under the guise of, under the umbrella of the FDA. So that's why we talk about party recovery instead.
Got it. Okay. All right. Tell me, where can people find out more about you?
Well, first, I just remembered the FDA. I need to do my FDA disclaimer. So the FDA has not evaluated our product. It is not intended to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent any disease. And I think that's really good. We have made a URL for your audience. It's myvitalc.com/FFA. So feel freaking amazing. So myvitalc.FFA. We have a coupon code for $15 off of your initial order when you land there. I'm going to share, we have an olive oil product, an avocado product, and an MCT product. A lot of people will ask, which one should I start with? We recommend the olive oil product for two reasons. The first is we're a science-based organization, and almost all the research is on olive oil, not any of the other oils. The next is you get the higher concentration of the ESS60 molecule in olive oil. You get about 0.8 milligrams per milliliter in olive oil, 0.6 in avocado oil, and then 0.3 in MCT oil. We do actually, I did run a longevity summit. So I interviewed 55 experts in longevity, including Dave Asprey, Ben Greenfield, Stephen Gundry. From that, I compiled 18 biohacking tips. So there's a freebie of 18 biohacking tips on that page. And then one last piece, I'm super proud of a charity piece we have with the book. So the book is called Live Longer and Better. Your journey to living longer and better has never been more achievable than today. It's available on Amazon for $19.95. My publisher is putting pressure on me to sell more books. I don't know if that happened to you. Maybe you did just fine, but I have more pressure. But there's a charity piece if it's on our website. So go to that URL. The book's not on that page. Grab that coupon code. Go in the menu structure. You'll find the book. And again, it's $19.95. For $10 extra, I'll autograph the book for you. And 100% of the $10 fee goes to Operation Underground Railroad. You may remember the movie The Sound of Freedom, which was an amazing movie about a horrible topic, which is child sex trafficking, which should be off of our planet yesterday. Operation Underground Railroad is doing a great job in working on that problem, and 100% of the signature fee goes to Operation Underground Railroad.
Got it. Thank you, Chris. This is great. All that will be in the show notes, and people can click through it. Okay, beautiful. So first to you, thank you for being here. And to the listeners, thank you. Reach out for anything that comes up, and good luck in your next endeavor, because it sounds like you're continually producing and expanding. So thank you, Chris.
Well, thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
Were you inspired and empowered today?
Don't forget to follow so we can help you keep transforming your health.
Until next time.